Today, we explore one of the most tragic and eerie spirits in Japanese mythology, the Ghost of Ubume. This spirit, often depicted as a mother tormented by her untimely death, is a figure both feared and pitied in Japanese culture. But who is Ubume, and what is the history behind this sorrowful ghost? The legend of Ubume dates back centuries, deeply rooted in Japanese history and folklore. Ubume is typically described as the ghost of a woman who died during childbirth or shortly after, leaving behind an unresolved attachment to her child. The name Ubume can be translated as birthing woman or parturient woman, highlighting the spirit's tragic origin. Unlike many vengeful spirits in Japanese mythology, Ubume is often portrayed as a figure of sorrow rather than malice, driven by a deep maternal instinct to protect her child even after death. The origins of the Ubume legend are intertwined with ancient Japanese beliefs about death, motherhood, and the afterlife. In Japanese tradition, the bond between a mother and her child is considered sacred, a connection that transcends life and death. However, in the case of Ubume, this bond becomes a source of haunting. Unable to rest in peace, the spirit of the mother lingers in the mortal world, often appearing near the place where she died. The Ubume often appears at night, carrying her ghostly child and seeking help from the living to care for the infant. Sometimes, she asks passers-by to hold her baby, only for the child to become unbearably heavy, symbolizing the burden of her grief and the weight of her unfulfilled duty as a mother. The Ubume legend also serves as a cautionary tale, reminding people of the importance of proper burial rites and the dangers of unresolved grief. In many stories, those who encounter the Ubume and help her are rewarded with protection or good fortune, while those who refuse or mistreat her spirit face dire consequences. Our first real-life account comes from a remote village in the Aomori prefecture. The story, passed down through generations, tells of a young woman named Hana who lived in the early 20th century. Hana was a devoted wife and mother, known for her kindness and gentle nature. Tragically, she died during childbirth, leaving behind her newborn son and a grieving husband. Not long after Hana's death, villagers began reporting strange sightings near the river where Hana often fetched water. At night, some claimed to see a woman in a white kimono, cradling a baby in her arms. She would stand silently by the riverbank, her face obscured by her long, dark hair. Those who approached her out of concern or curiosity described feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness, as if the air itself was heavy with sorrow. One night, a fisherman named Koji was returning home late after a day on the river. As he neared the riverbank, he noticed a woman standing by the water, swaying gently as she held a small bundle. Concerned that she might be in trouble, Koji approached her and asked if she needed help. The woman slowly turned to face him, revealing her tear-streaked face. She extended the bundle toward him, and Koji, unable to refuse, took it in his arms. To his horror, the bundle grew heavier and heavier with each passing second, until it felt as though he was holding a boulder. Koji dropped the bundle in fear, and when he looked up, the woman was gone. The bundle had vanished as well. Shaken, Koji ran back to the village and told the elders what he had seen. They advised him to pray for Hana's spirit and to leave offerings by the river. After performing the rituals, the sightings of the ghostly woman ceased, and Koji was spared any further encounters. Our second account takes us to a more recent time, in the late 1990s in the city of Kyoto. A university student named Yuki, who had always been fascinated by Japanese folklore, decided to investigate the legend of Ubume for a research project. She spent weeks researching ancient texts, interviewing locals, and visiting sites associated with ghostly encounters. One night, Yuki and a group of friends decided to visit a small abandoned shrine on the outskirts of Kyoto, rumored to be a place where Ubume had been sighted. The shrine was in a secluded area, surrounded by dense trees, and was known to locals as a place of misfortune. Undeterred, Yuki and her friends arrived at the shrine just before midnight, armed with cameras and recording devices, As they explored the shrine, they found it in a state of decay, with overgrown vegetation and crumbling walls. Yuki felt a sense of unease, but her curiosity pushed her forward. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and an eerie silence fell over the group. Yuki noticed a faint sound, like the distant cry of a baby. She followed the sound to a small altar at the back of the shrine, where she found an old, tattered kimono draped over a stone. As she reached out to touch the kimono, she felt a sharp, icy chill run through her body. The sound of the baby's cry grew louder, filling her with an overwhelming sense of dread. Yuki turned to her friends, but they were frozen in place, their faces pale with fear. At that moment, a figure appeared in the shadows, an indistinct form that seemed to hover above the ground. Watching them, the figure slowly began to take shape, revealing the outline of a woman holding a baby. Her face was hidden, but her presence was undeniable. The group was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or speak. Yuki felt an intense sadness emanating from the figure, as if it was pleading for help. Without thinking, she whispered a prayer for the spirit's peace. As soon as she spoke the words, the figure faded away, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. The group hurriedly left the shrine, too terrified to look back. Yuki later learned that the shrine was dedicated to a woman who had died in childbirth centuries ago, and it was believed that her spirit still lingered, unable to move on. Yuki's encounter left her shaken, but it also deepened her understanding of the Ubume legend. She completed her research project with a newfound respect for the stories and the spirits they describe. To this day, Yuki avoids discussing the encounter, but she often leaves small offerings at shrines dedicated to mothers, hoping to bring peace to any restless spirits. It is a poignant reminder of the deep and enduring bond between a mother and her child. This spirit, driven by love and sorrow, continues to haunt the places where mothers and children were separated by death. Whether you view Ubume as a tragic ghost or as a symbol of unresolved grief, her story resonates with the universal themes of love, loss, and the desire for peace. As with many legends, the story of Ubume teaches us the importance of compassion, respect for the dead, and the power of maternal love that transcends even the boundaries of life and death. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the other side. Until next time, stay curious